Hey everyone, I'm going to start a new series of videos. I got a new laptop. It's the GPD Duo. Just came in recently. It's a dual screen AMOLED laptop that I'll be using for my main machine at home and for work. It's replacing my previous daily driver, which was the WinMax 2, also from GPD. That one ran an AMD 7840U, and I used a G1 external GPU with it. This is an RX 7600 XT mobile eGPU, and that did a really good job. Was able to play plenty of games on it. Worked great. This one, this laptop actually runs a Strix point CPU. So it's the new Zen 5 architecture, and it's much higher wattage. My old WinMax 2 was limited to 28 watts. This one I'm currently running at 40 watts, and I use an app called Motion Assistant to lock that. So I have it set to a 40 watt TDP when I'm plugged in, and 15 watts when I'm on battery. And it also manages the GPU frequency. So I float the GPU between 600 and 2450 megahertz. It'll cap out at 2900, but this is just kind of what I've found to work well in this wattage range in sharing power between the GPU and the CPU. So this seems to work well. And it'll try to maintain a 60 FPS frame rate. So I tend to game at 1080p, 60 hertz, 60 frames per second. So that's what pretty much all of these videos are going to cover: various games and what settings they can be played at on this particular APU with these settings. I'll show you if I need to do some additional settings. And I'm also, typically for most of these games, I disable CPU boosting, which will limit the CPU cores to 2 gigahertz. They can boost all the way up, 4 of them can boost all the way up to 5.1 gigahertz, and 8 of the cores can boost up to 3.3 gigahertz, the efficiency cores. But I actually leave it disabled because it makes the machine practically silent. You can't even hear the fans at all. They use custom fan curve and all that. But yeah, running it like this is pretty amazing, and I've been really surprised at the number of great games that I've been able to play at really high settings, and some that I can play like modern AAA games, like Path of Exile 2, for instance, by just turning some settings down. I can play Cyberpunk, things like that, but do need to turn the settings down a bit. So we'll go over the settings for each game, as we go through it. But just a little bit about this Ryzen AI9 HX370, the Strix Point CPU. Again, it's 12 cores with a max boost clock of 5.1 gigahertz. That's for 4 of the cores, and 8 of the cores, like I said, are those efficiency cores that cap out at 3.3. Not nearly as bad an impact as I thought it would be. It actually manages it extremely well. It comes with the AMD Radeon 890M, which is RDNA 3.5, and has 16 CUs that can go up to 2.9 gigahertz. Again, we're capping them at 2450. And if I need to turn those up, I'll show the settings for the particular game. So here's the way I'm going to do it. So what I decided to do is I went to SteamDB, and I'm looking for overwhelmingly positive, or like the highest rated games. Like, what are the highest rated games on Steam that have over 50,000 reviews? So I'm trying to filter out, there's a lot of new games that come in and they kind of quickly get really high ratings and whatnot. So I'm trying to get rid of some of that stuff. So what are kind of the big titles? I mean, you'll recognize, most of the stuff on this list, right? And I'm just going to start at the top, and I'm just going to kind of work my way down. Every game that I own, I will review. I don't own RimWorld. I know it'll run great. I'm not worried about it. I actually don't own Balatro, but I probably will buy it. But most of these games, I own over 900 games in Steam, and I've got another 500 or 600 in Epic Game Store, and several hundred in GOG. So most of these I actually do own. So we'll I'm just going to work my way down the list and see how many of these games can actually be played on an APU with no dedicated GPU, no eGPUs, no nothing like that. Just using a plain old Strix point, run capped out around 40 watts. And let's see what we can play. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised at what's playable without a GPU, a dedicated GPU these days. All right, that's it for this video. And I will start off with Portal 2 in the next one.